Maybe next video, maybe not, because I still got to build the exhaust, but we are pretty much ready to fire this up, and it still ain't going nowhere. It's going to make some noise though.
For years, fans watched Ian Roussel create stunning cars on Full Custom Garage, believing it was all real. But behind the scenes, the truth was far harsher.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Seriously. It did cause a bit of a ruffle. Gave a proper notice, plenty of time.
Filming lasted 13 hours in 115-degree desert heat, pushing him to the edge, even causing collapse from exhaustion. What looked like pure creativity was often guided by scripts, turning real moments into staged scenes. Slowly, Ian felt trapped by the demands of television. When he finally spoke out, he exposed a hidden side of reality TV. What else are these shows hiding? How much of it is truly real? The journey of Full Custom Garage. Full Custom Garage finally made its debut on MAV-TV on March 28, 2014. For most television shows, the journey to the screen is either quick or it never happens at all. But this one was different. Ian's show took years to come together. There were early test episodes, changes in production, and long stretches of waiting. At times, it probably felt like it might never happen, but when it finally launched, it stood out immediately. Instead of following the usual formula of forced drama and fake deadlines, the show kept things real. It focused on what truly mattered, the builds themselves. Every episode showed the tools, the hard work, and the full process from start to finish. There were no distractions, no staged arguments, just honest craftsmanship. Viewers noticed this right away. They could feel the difference, and that honesty kept them coming back for more. In Season 1, Ian surprised everyone with a bold and unexpected project. Instead of building a car, he created a chopper trike completely from scratch. This wasn't just another custom job, it was a three-wheeled motorcycle built from bare metal all the way to a finished showpiece. It was something Ian had dreamed about since he was a kid. Bringing that dream to life on television made it even more special. The build itself was full of unique features. It had stretched forks, oversized tires, and a coffin-style fuel tank that gave it a striking look. He even used a Volkswagen carburetor, adding a creative twist to the design. When the trike was finally revealed at Chopperfest, people were stunned. Many couldn't believe what they were seeing. That single episode proved something important. Ian wasn't limited to one type of build. He had the skill and imagination to create almost anything. Over the next 10 years, the show grew bigger and stronger. It aired more than 90 episodes, and with each new season came more pressure. There were more projects to complete, less time to do them, and a growing audience watching every move. But Ian kept pushing forward, staying true to his style and his passion. Between 2014 and 2024, his workshop became more than just a place to build cars. It turned to a destination. Fans traveled from all over the world just to see it. Some people even shipped their vehicles thousands of miles, trusting Ian to transform them. The show had become more than entertainment. One of the most memorable episodes came when Ian built a custom car for his friend Tom. He chose a 1948 Packard and turned it into a lead sled, a heavily modified custom car style. Most builders would have picked an easier option, like a Mercury, but Ian chose the harder path. The Packard's shape made the job especially difficult. The roof design didn't fit the look he wanted, so it had to be cut, reshaped, and rebuilt. This meant long days of welding, grinding, and careful adjustments. It was tough, exhausting work, but in the end, the result was stunning. The car looked perfect. What made this episode even more special was the story behind it. It wasn't just about building a car, it was about friendship. Fans connected with that emotional side of the project. They didn't just watch the episode once, many watched it again and again. It became one of the most talked about moments in the entire series and gave Tom a level of attention he had never expected. Then came another surprising build, an electric dune buggy. Ian found an old forklift motor buried in scrap and decided to use it in a completely new way. He turned it into a clean, eco-friendly off-road vehicle. On the outside, it looked wild, with bright red paint and bold lightning bolt designs. But underneath, it was all about smart engineering. He created custom adapters, built unique mounts, and carefully designed every part to make it work. Even more impressive, he completed the entire project just in time for a birthday surprise. Around 2017, very few people were thinking about electric custom builds, but Ian was already ahead of the trend. His work caught the attention of the press and showed that he wasn't afraid to try new ideas. Not long after that, Ian took on another creative challenge. He transformed an old vintage bus into a fully functional mobile workshop. This wasn't just a simple makeover. He strengthened the frame, installed working electrical systems, and added everything needed to build and repair vehicles on the road. Every detail was carefully designed and handmade. There were fold-out workbenches, hidden storage spaces, and tools neatly built into the structure. Viewers got to see the entire process, from a rusty, worn-out shell to a powerful machine shop on wheels. When Ian drove it into a major car event, people were amazed. However, by 2022, Ian's work had reached a global level. His custom builds were no longer staying in one place. Fans watched as his creations were carefully packed and shipped to countries like Japan, Australia, and across Europe. So, what brought it to an end? Was there an internal disagreement? Let's find out. How Full Custom Garage ended. For many years, Full Custom Garage was a favorite show for people who loved custom cars. But in late 2023, Ian finally spoke up after a long silence. He shared a short message online that surprised everyone. "I quit." There was no drama and no network canceling the show. It was completely his decision. Just like that, all the rumors about low ratings and secret cancellations disappeared. Fans were shocked. Why would someone walk away from a successful show they built themselves? Ian gave a simple and honest answer. He was tired. He was tired of the limits, the repetition, and the show starting to feel more like a job than something he truly loved. Unlike many people in the industry, Ian didn't leave suddenly or cause problems. He gave Emma VTV enough notice before stepping away. He explained his reasons clearly, finished his work, and helped the crew bring the show to a proper ending. Even people who weren't big fans respected how he handled everything. It wasn't about attention or frustration, it was about protecting his creativity before it was completely drained. Over time, the work had started to feel the same. He was making episodes that followed the same pattern again and again under pressure to create TV content that didn't match his real way of building cars. For years, he worked in hot workshops where temperatures reached 115 degrees, building project after project while staying within limits set by producers. Eventually, it became too much. The burnout caught up with him. He explained that scripts were getting in the way of real creativity. That's when he reached his breaking point. In his own words, he said, "Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more." It wasn't a dramatic outburst or a publicity stunt. It was just a builder choosing freedom over burnout. Even so, he didn't leave fans without closure. Season 9 aired as planned and ended in January 2024 with 6 final episodes. It started with Is That a Cadillac on January 3rd and ended on January 31st, featuring builds like Surf and Safari and Keep On Trucking. It was a proper ending for a show that had been running since 2014 and had created over 80 custom cars. Most reality shows slowly fade away or get canceled without warning. This one ended the right way, on Ian's terms. But Ian didn't stop building. Even before the final season aired, he had already started something new. In January 2023, he launched his YouTube channel, Full Custom Ian. This wasn't just a small side project, it was a fresh start. There were no strict time limits and no producers telling him what to do. Some videos were 18 minutes long, while others went beyond 90 minutes. Fans loved the real, honest approach. In just 4 months, the channel reached 100,000 subscribers. One video, Desert Ranch Build Finale, got 2.4 million views by the end of the year. And that was only the beginning of his new journey. How was he in childhood? Was he one of those privileged child? Let's find out. Ian Roussel's early years. Ian Roussel was born on November 19, 1970 in Sunland, California. Hospital records say he arrived at 11:19 in the morning, but when he got his first driver's license in 1987, it strangely listed his birth year as 1971. This mistake was blamed on a paperwork mix-up after the Siler earthquake in 1971, which shut down government offices for weeks. Even so, his family always remembered the real date. Every year, they made him a birthday cake shaped like a license plate that read 111970. People in the area also remembered that day because of a rare hailstorm that covered Foothill Boulevard in ice. Ian and his mother had to be driven home in a neighbor's lifted F-100. This unusual beginning led fans to argue about his real age. Ian doesn't mind. He jokes that every year he is either 54 or 55, saying it helps keep him young. His father, Jerry Roussel, worked at Lockheed's Skunk Works during the day and turned their garage into a workshop at night. He often brought home leftover aircraft aluminum, and by the age of 8, Ian was already using it to build panels for his homemade go-karts. From 1978 to 1985, they spent more than 4,200 hours working together in that garage. Ian figured this out by reading his father's old, oil-stained project notes. By the age of 10, he could gap spark plugs and understand cam lift tables. But his father had one strict rule: build first, drive later. One of their biggest early projects was restoring a 1955 Chevy Nomad they bought for $75. They spent 32 evenings replacing the floor using bomber sheet metal. That same car still sits in Ian's Mojave workshop today as a reminder of where he started. Ian graduated from West Valley High School in 1989. Instead of arriving in a cap and gown like everyone else, he parked his half-finished '29 Ford Model A pickup in front of the gym. It was made of raw metal with bright orange wheels. Even though the principal told him not to bring it, Ian didn't care. His GPA was 2.7, but he earned the highest score ever recorded in the school's metal fabrication final, 98 out of 100. He only lost 2 points because his report was hand-drawn instead of typed. That same car, built from 11 donor vehicles and just $612 in parts, was featured in Rod and Custom Magazine's 1990 Young Guns issue. 2 weeks later, he turned down a drafting scholarship, saying simply, "College can't weld." Ian was an only child, with no one to share tools with and no one else to blame when something broke. By the time he turned 18, he had spent over 3,100 hours in the garage, which is about the same as working full-time for more than a year and a half. His mom, Donna, carefully kept everything organized in photo binders. Years later, when producers created Full Custom Garage, those binders helped shape the story for the first season. At 12, he received a stick welder. At 15, he got a used English wheel. These early tools helped him learn everything his father knew about building and shaping metal. Ian never saw cars the way other kids did. Even before he could drive, he saw them as moving art. In a 2015 podcast, he admitted he didn't even care if the car could move. Sometimes he even forgot to add steering wheels to his designs. In 7th grade art class, he surprised his teacher by submitting a rolling clay car model instead of a painting. It had no doors, just a hatch on top, and it won county honors. Eventually, his father forced him to get a driver's license by threatening to tow away any project Ian couldn't move himself. Even today, Ian says he is just someone who shapes metal first and adds wheels later. So, could this be the beginning of his love for cars? How was his career path? Let's take a closer look. Ian's car journey. After finishing high school, Ian didn't even consider going to college. Instead, he jumped straight into the fast-moving car culture of Southern California. While his classmates were busy choosing courses and planning their futures, Ian was already getting his hands dirty, learning directly from famous builders like Boyd Coddington, Chip Foose, and Jesse James. During the day, he worked in their shops, watching closely and picking up skills. At night, he stayed up building his own cars, driven by passion and curiosity. By the time he turned 22, his work was already appearing at major car shows like SEMA and the Grand National Roadster Show. This early exposure gave him real-world experience that no classroom could ever match. It also helped him connect with important people in the industry, connections that would later shape his entire career. At just the same age, Ian took a bold step and opened his own shop. Most people in the business were in their 30s or 40s, so many didn't believe he would last. But Ian had been saving money from small jobs and winnings from car shows, and with a little help from his family to get basic tools, he managed to rent a tiny workspace. That early start gave him a big advantage. By the time serious collectors began noticing him in the late 90s, Ian already had years of hands-on experience behind him. He didn't rely on advertising. No flashy billboards, no magazine features, just one simple promise: I'll build anything. And people believed him. Word spread quickly. While other shops refused unusual ideas, Ian welcomed them. He created futuristic bumpers, welded Cadillac parts onto Ford frames, and even built custom aluminum windshields that looked like something out of science fiction. Soon, clients began traveling from all over the state just to get something unique, something no one else would even attempt. His shop became a kind of attraction. People would park outside just to watch him work, fascinated as raw metal slowly turned into bold, one-of-a-kind machines. His satisfied customers became his best advertisement. While many builders focused on restoring classic cars to look brand new, like they had just come from the factory, Ian did the exact opposite. He cut off roofs, lowered frames close to the ground, and mixed parts from completely different cars to create something entirely new. His designs were unusual, sometimes even shocking. Some people loved them. Others criticized them, calling his work punk rock hot rods. Traditional car lovers claimed he was destroying perfectly good vehicles, but Ian didn't care about fitting in. He cared about creating something original. Though the early years were far from easy. Money was tight, and survival was a daily struggle. At one point, Ian was even living in the back of his shop, eating cheap ramen and sleeping on a couch surrounded by his tools. Still, he kept going. How was his journey to stardom? Did his passion come into play? Let's take a closer look. Ian's rise to fame. Everything changed after a car show in Las Vegas in the mid-90s. Ian brought along a bold, radical rat rod, a project he had nearly abandoned because he ran out of money. That one car ended up catching the attention of a documentary crew. When the show aired, it opened doors he never expected. Collectors began calling, orders started piling up. That single moment may have saved his entire career. Later, something even bigger happened. Ian's name appeared on the Caddis Report, a list that ranks the top 10 custom car builders in the country. Soon, his cars were no longer staying in the United States. They were being carefully packed and shipped from Long Beach to countries like Japan, Germany, and the Netherlands. This wasn't just simple exporting. These were full international shipments for collectors who had seen his work on screen and wanted a piece of it for themselves. Very few solo builders had ever reached that level, and even fewer had done it without the support of a big brand. It showed that Ian's work connected with people everywhere, no matter where they lived. Then the requests started getting more unusual. Ian always said, "If you can dream it, I can build it," and people truly believed him. Clients didn't just want cars that looked different, they wanted machines that told a story. Some asked for hidden features, like secret gadgets or designs inspired by movies. Others brought ideas so strange that other builders had already refused them. But Ian never backed down. He found a way to turn even the wildest ideas into reality. His garage became a place where strange ideas weren't rejected. They were built. After that, big names began to reach out. Musicians, movie stars, and producers all came knocking. Some wanted everyday road cars, while others needed show cars or props. Interestingly, most of them preferred to stay anonymous. This gave Ian's work a sense of mystery. Surprisingly, it all started back in 2003. That was when Ian sent a simple DVD to a producer. But that DVD ended up in the hands of television producers, and they saw something special. Ian never planned to be on TV. In fact, he didn't even want to. But the footage showed pure talent, passion, and raw metal. It wasn't until 2014 that the show finally aired. Then, in 2005, Ian built another rat rod for a Las Vegas car show. This time, he wasn't sure how people would react. Groups like the Road Zombies and Burbank Choppers weren't always welcoming to outsiders, especially those with unusual designs. But instead of being ignored or mocked, Ian's car became the most talked about creation at the event. Almost overnight, Ian went from being a struggling metal worker with a torch and a dream to one of the most talked about names in custom car culture. His journey was captured in a documentary called Back from the Dead. So what do you think about the ordeal of Full Custom Garage? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.